The latest arrival of Star Trek Picard has beamed down for us. With episode 4's surprise arrival of 7 of 9, we were certainly in for a treat this week. Hey everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. Today we'll be reviewing and breaking down Star Trek Picard episode 5 titled Stardust City Rag. Following last week's surprise reveal of Jeri Ryan's 7 of 9 and her timely arrival to hyper Jean-Luc Picard and his motley crew, this week continues the journey to Freecloud to locate Bruce Maddox. As a quick reminder, this video will contain spoilers for Season 1 of Star Trek Picard. You have been warned. If you are looking to stay up to date on all things Star Trek, including Picard, then we welcome you to subscribe to the channel here. For those of you who are interested in supporting the channel even more, we've recently enabled YouTube memberships. Simply see the join button below. Alright, warp speed. Okay, so jumping straight into the review side of things for episode 5, I have to say the opening flashback of 7 of 9 storming an apparent Borg deconstruction compound was rather cool, but at the same time very gorish. I don't typically mind gore / blood and other messy scenes in sci-fi, however, this scene really stood out for me as a bit too much. Not that this is a massive complaint, as it did not really ruin the episode for me, it was just rather a bit too much for myself personally in the opening scene of the show. Though I will say, the context behind it does make perfect sense. In the scene, we see Isheb, yes, the same Isheb from Star Trek Voyager, albeit played by a different actor, being dissected with no care. 7 of 9 does come to one of her timely rescues, but this time slightly too late as the damage to her boy has already been done, resulting in 7 killing Isheb, who she regarded as a son. Killing off this character like this was rather interesting and a bold move for the series production team. Though as mentioned, the context behind it motivates 7 of 9 and her character development, which I love to see. This matches with what we previously saw when it came to 7 of 9 wanting to take revenge. For those of you who are wondering, Isheb in Star Trek Picard was played by actor Casey King. You can find a few behind the scenes images on his Twitter where he shows a prosthetic makeup of Isheb. Very cool. Now our second flashback scene is of the Stardust City on Freecloud, kinda hinting towards the name, featuring mob bosses and of course, Bruce Maddox. The character of Maddox was originally played by Brian Brophy during The Next Generation, while here in Star Trek Picard he's played by John Ailes. Ailes does breathe unique life into this character, and it's very evident the character has changed since he was last on screen in The Measure of a Man. Changing the actor isn't a massive deal to me personally, we've only ever seen Maddox on screen once, so therefore changing the actor is not as a big deal as it would be to change a more recognisable character. But I would like to know where Brian Brophy is, as many Trekkies are currently asking that. Moving forward, the scenes between 7 of 9 and Jean-Luc are fantastic, especially the opening shots in his chateau. We finally get 7 delivering the line of saving the galaxy, all while Picard explains his mission to find the sister of Darge, who is most likely in serious trouble as we all know. Now 7's comments about misguided diplomatic missions are quite funny in my opinion, as it does sort of line up with what everyone thinks of Jean-Luc. The conversation of Picard almost critiquing the operations of the Fenris Rangers stuck out. We almost see the essence of what is the next generation version of Jean-Luc Picard, as he lectures 7 on being judge, jury and executioner. It's clear 7 has a resentment towards the Federation and by extension Picard, as he used to be associated with them. Raffi and Rios' comments both about Jean-Luc and 7 being former Borg drones do provide some interesting information, especially as Rios tries to remember her based on information he knows, or while getting her name wrong in the process. It's also very cool to see how legendary both these characters are to other people like Raffi and Rios, with Rios even commenting on the strange cargo that is on board, implying Picard and 7. We also get the introduction to the relationship between Bruce Maddox and Agnes Jurati. It's a shame episode 1 did not originally hint towards this a bit more, as it was kinda odd to see it. Then again, Jurati's motivations for wanting to come out into the galaxy with Picard are now more clearer. Not only is she interested in the research and basically Darge and Soji, she also did happen to be quite close to Bruce Maddox. While the relationship makes sense to be introduced on screen, it's actually previously introduced in the tie-in prequel book, Star Trek Picard The Last Best Hope by Una McCormack. You'd understand it a lot more if you read the book, however I do stand by the point that it's not 100% needed to understand the context of the show. At this moment with Jurati watching the holovid, it does make sense to set it up and provides the needed context. Then again, if you would like to learn more about it, I do recommend reading the book. Our review on the book is actually out very soon on the channel, so stick around for that. Now I'm going to speak about the ending part of this episode now, as it's one of the same lines of Jurati. Many of you have been commenting for the last few weeks that Dr. Jurati is some sort of sleeper agent. The ending scene to episode 5 makes this 100% clear in my opinion. Jurati mentions that she has been shown by them. I'm going to speculate that this means Commodore O and her band of Zhat Vash agents or associates. It's clear that the Zhat Vash has shown Jurati something that is so dark she would kill her lover, Bruce Maddox. In this scene, she practically turns off his life support systems, which does activate the Rios EMH program, which is easily dismissed, though the EMH program does appear to be on to Jurati's cover-up multiple times throughout this episode. A minor point here, you would think that in the case of a patient about to die due to a medical system failure, the EMH would have an override from being turned off. I guess not in this case. Also, wouldn't there be alarms from bridge or ship if there was an incident in the medical bay? I would personally hope so, but I guess not. Either way, Jurati has got some explaining to do next episode when Picard finds out Maddox is dead. It's a shame really, the first 4 episodes spent time talking about Maddox and how important he is, yet we barely get any time to talk with him in this episode. Picard does get a scene where Bruce informs him of something larger going on within the Federation and the Romulans surrounding the ban on synthetic life forms, which is an underlying tone that is slowly following the series so far. Even Raffi mentions this a few times. It's evident we're going to learn more about this as the series goes on. Bruce explains that he sent Soji to the Borg Cube, aka the artifact, to find the truth about the ban on synthetic life forms, as well as Dajed Earth to do the same thing. Why the Borg Cube would be related to this, I currently do not know. However, I have some type of feeling this is related to the Romulans of course, and potentially their relation to the Borg. More on this soon. Before I talk about the Free Cloud scenes, let's quickly talk about Elnor and his character, as it did stick out in this episode, for good and bad reasons. Personally, I do feel that he was sort of underused in this episode, which is a shame. He does get his moments, but not that many, especially as he's only introduced to us in the last episode. Given that Elnor has the mentality of absolute candor, it is funny to see his honesty shine through, and it very much reminds me of the characters of Data and Spock. Long-time Trekkies will remember the times when either Data or Spock would literally say whatever they were thinking, much to the annoyance of their captains, but it did provide for light humour in tense or awkward situations. Elnor does the same, which is great to see. Though, Elnor's scene during the Trade of Seven is very funny, especially with the "Are we still pretending?" I love this, and I think it just works really well. I can't wait to see what other scenes he managed to make kind of awkward. Okay, so Free Cloud is a very interesting and unique place, which is also full of tiny lore bits and references to previous Trek iterations. Arriving in orbit, La Sirena is bombarded with pop-up adverts. Now, many said this scene was annoying or out of place, but personally I think it is as once again Star Trek showing us a future in some capacity. Think of it, in this day and age, ads are annoying and will either pay or use extensions to get rid of them, but you cannot always escape them. It's funny to think that when in range of a planet, ads pop up or be sent around. I imagine as La Sirena is a civilian starship, it does not have a filter like a Federation starship would. I mean, we never saw the Enterprise getting pop-up adverts. Maybe Rios needs to update his ad block or something. These ads are actually based on each character on the bridge. Picard gets an invite to a cup of tea, Rios gets a mechanic commenting on the type of the La Sirena, Raffi gets an ad for snakebite, the drug she was addicted to, meanwhile Jurati gets an advert for fighting robots, an odd choice. Elnor sadly does not get one, then again the reason behind this is I think is due to the ads being based off of a user profile or information available. Elnor's a refugee who's been raised by a sect in kinda secret. He's not exactly going to have a wide range of information or search history available. Now, first off, the outfits in episode 5 are kinda hilarious. Pirate Picard and Pimp Rios, as they're being nicknamed by the Trekkies, really do stand out as fun little scenes. This scene honestly reminds me of those on the holodeck scenes from The Next Generation, where Jean-Luc and the Enterprise crew would dress up for the occasion. Chris Rios does suit his outfit, while Picard does say what we're all thinking when it comes to the disguise of blending in. Fun fact, we've actually got a fun little emoji on the channel. If you become a YouTube member today, there's an emoji for Pirate Picard. It looks hilarious. Now, Rios' meeting with Mr. Vup, who is played by Dominic Burgess, is very interesting. Mr. Vup mentions Rios' references, who actually come from Mr. Quark of Ferenginar. This is a very small reference to Quark of Deep Space Nine. We'll be exploring this in our Easter eggs and references video coming on Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. The setup of a Free Cloud operation does make sense. Trading 7 of 9 in return for Maddox, what could possibly go wrong? Oh wait, it does. Patrick Stewart doing more French impressions is very funny. I still remember him on a talk show here in the UK doing a French impression of Jean-Luc and his Next Generation intro. It's quite cool, I'll leave a link down below if I get the time. Now, before everything goes wrong with this foolproof plan, Raffi Musica leaves Admiral Picard and his crew as she has a mission of her own, but don't worry, she does end up back on board within the end of the episode. Raffi's mission is actually visiting her son, who's conveniently on Free Cloud as well. In case you're wondering why we haven't heard of him referenced before, it does make sense. Their relationship is strained due to a few things, with one of them being Raffi's former addiction to drugs and her falling off her golden path within Starfleet. Secondly, she essentially abandoned her son, Gabe, and her husband when she signed up to join Jean-Luc Picard on his Romulan relocation mission in 2381. After 4 years of assisting Picard, her son and husband moved on in life without her. Things do end up worse, as her son explains, when Raffi was fired by Starfleet over the relocation mission. It made life very hard for her son, who has also appeared to change his name to distance himself from her family. Raffi appears to have a darker past when she is removed from Starfleet due to the conspiracy surrounding the ban on synthetic lifeforms. More to explore on this later. Back on the Free Cloud operation, it's evident that Mob Boss and 7 of 9 know each other, and she refers to 7 by her original name of Annika. Annika Hansen was 7 of 9's original name before she was assimilated by the Borg Collective. This is explored in Star Trek Voyager for those of you who are new to the Star Trek fandom. Even more so, when the Mob Boss taunts 7 with the death of Isheb all those years ago. Now things do go sour when 7 reveals her own plans of killing the Mob Boss, nicknamed Jay. Picard is not very happy, revealing that everyone has stopped pretending now, as 7 grabs Jay, forcing the others to lower their weapons as well. I do love this scene between Jean-Luc and 7, what the hell is going on here? The scene does develop really well here, especially as everyone convinced 7 they need to escape for the greater good at the end of the day. Rios even saves the day and everyone does evacuate back to the last arena before everything gets way too out of hand. Now of course, 7 really wants revenge, and after a heartfelt conversation between her and Jean-Luc Picard on last arena, she takes the transport pattern enhancer as well as 2 phaser rifles and beams back down to the nightclub on Freecloud, with the purpose of taking revenge. However, she does give Picard what appears to be some sort of calling card for the Fenris Rangers. Maybe 7 of 9 will pop up once again in the series, I really do hope so, as it would expand on the story more, and I really just want to see more of Jeri Ryan in Star Trek Picard. Oh, if you actually listen closely to the scene where 7 beams down, you'll hear the theme tune of Star Trek Voyager playing ever so slightly in the background. 7 does indeed go with shooting way out and taking a few people with her. It's not clear if she survives, but I would take it as so. She's unlikely to be killed off, and I have a feeling she'll be back later on. Given she takes a pattern enhancer which allows her to beam out, and she did mention the Fenris Rangers are sending a ship to her, I will take it so that she does escape, and most likely we will see her later on. Finally, this episode does end with Bruce Maddox being killed by Jurati, as we discussed earlier. Honestly, this episode was a nice change of pace for myself. I really enjoyed the action elements, but also the classic moments of characters dressing up for certain occasions. While many might see this as a silly moment, you have to agree it does fit the reason behind the show. Overall, I really like this episode. I'm always interested in your opinions, so don't forget to leave them in the comment section below. If you're interested in our live discussions of Star Trek Picard Episode 5, don't forget to tune in on our Sunday live stream at 9 PM GMT. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. So a few details, Episode 5, titled Stardust City Rag, was actually directed by Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes will actually be appearing in Star Trek Picard very soon, where he reprises his role as William T. Riker, the former first officer of Jean-Luc Picard, when he used to serve on the Enterprise. I'm super excited to see Riker, as well as Deanna Troi, his wife, played by Marina Sirtis, and hopefully they might appear in Episode 6, though with a teaser it's not suggested as so, but I have a feeling they'll definitely be in Episode 7. Not long until the Rikers are back on our screen. Okay everyone, that's it from us here on Trek Central today. If you want to keep up to date on all things Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to subscribe to Trek Central here on YouTube. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates, visit our website, or even join our brand new community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.